Sometimes building a bridge of love between people can be a challenging thing. Nowhere else in all of Scripture does it tell us that God is love. 1 Corinthians tells us what love is. Love is patient and kind. Love is not arrogant or boastful or rude. It does not insist on its own way. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. It's a beautiful passage of Scripture. Jesus Christ, when He came to earth, demonstrated the love of God for the world through His life and through His teachings. But nowhere else in Scripture does it say more clearly and plainly that God is love. This creator of the universe can be summed up in one word: love. Dr. Stanley Hauerwas, professor of Christian ethics at Duke University, came to West Virginia Wesleyan College a few years ago and gave a lecture. His lecture was entitled, "Why War is Not Natural." In his lecture, Dr. Hauerwas, who is a Christian pacifist, said that based upon this verse and other parts of Scripture, it is clear that it is the very essence and nature of God to be love. And therefore anything opposite of that, death and destruction and harm to our fellow human being, is a contradiction to the very nature of God in whose image we are created. He said, when you think about this, it's rather remarkable. Psychologists and sociologists have all agreed that people who serve in the military and in other professions of service and protection in our community have embarked on a journey that requires them to change the way they think in order to fulfill their task. It's remarkable because it is not natural to destroy another human life. But we thank God because God's path in this world is a path of nonviolence. And that, my friends, is the path that leads us most fully into the presence of God. For you see, my friends, the Son of God, Jesus Christ, would rather die on a cross than to redeem the world by violence. You remember what Jesus said when they mocked Him on the cross? If you're truly the Son of God, why don't you save yourself? Jesus said, do you not know that at this very moment I could call legions of angels to take me down from this cross and destroy everyone? Jesus chose the path of nonviolence in order to save the world. Christian pacifists have been criticized over the centuries for turning the other cheek, and yet that is just exactly what Jesus calls us to do every day. I know you probably didn't notice as you came into church, but I pray you will notice as you leave church today that on the exit doors, on the glass doors, there is an 8.5 by 11 printout. It came to me from a lady in Naples, Florida. It's a picture of her son, and listen to what she writes. Dear Pastors Tim and Matt, I have been searching for my son Bradley Thomas Bush since he disappeared in 2013. I learned that he is homeless. I have traced him to being in the Morgantown area in late 2015. I understand that your church will be serving Easter meals to those less fortunate in your community this coming Friday at 4 o'clock. I humbly ask you that you may help a mother find her son and post the enclosed poster in the area where many in your congregation will see it, and perhaps let Brad know that his mother wants to see him. My deepest hope, with God's grace, is that Brad will see the poster and call me so we can reunite. Thank you so much for your consideration. Peg Earring, Naples, Florida. Her letter came before the event. It came too late for the event. It came afterwards. But I've held on to it, and I'm asking us all to participate. My friends, I would say to you that mother's love is the very epitome of what it means to say today, God is love. because God never stops loving us. No matter where we go, no matter how far we may stray, God's love is always present. Some of us say the words, "I love you," and others of us find it difficult to say those words. I'm one of those people. I don't just toss those words around lightly. In fact, I remember, when Reva and I started dating a long time ago in Beckley, I do believe she was the first one to say, "I love you." And I'll never forget what I said back. I said, "As much as I know what love is, I love you." Well, you're not going to find that on a greeting card anywhere. Eli Thomas Eslack was a very devout person in our church. He was one of those persons who joined us every Sunday through the internet. He watched the service, he and his wife, Krista Eslack, every Sunday. A few weeks ago, Tom went home to be with the Lord. And I went to his house probably just a couple of weeks before he passed, and I visited with him. And at the end of our visit, I got up to leave, and he looked at me and he said, "Tim, I love you." And it took me back a little bit, because he had not said that any previous visit that I'd been there. I'd been there several times. He had never said that to me. And his wife said, "Tell him what's going on." And sure enough, Tom reached down beside his chair and he picked up a book and he held it up, handed it to me. In fact, he said, "I want you to have this." There's a book entitled The 4 Things That Matter Most by Ira Brock. And he said, "I've been reading this book." He said, "I've not been a person in my lifetime who said I loved you frequently or often to people." He said, "I'm the kind of person that shows your love." I'd have to say that I'm probably turned a little bit more like Tom. But when he looked at me that day and he said, "I love you," I knew something had changed inside of him. And I thought to myself, I need to think about this. And I took that book home and I've been reading on it. In fact, Tom, I know you're looking down from the balcony. I just want you to know that this whole sermon series is dedicated to you and Chris for reminding me that there are certain things we say to each other that really matter more than anything else. Life is way too short to let all the baggage that falls on us keep us from showing God's love to others. And there's a lot of baggage. You go to the airport, you stand at the bottom of that terminal thing, you ever see all those bags coming down that chute and you think, is it ever going to end? No. And neither is the baggage in this world that's going to get dumped on all of us. And you think you got bad baggage, now more's coming. Life is too short to let all the baggage keep you from being a witness of God's love in the world to your family, your friends, and even your enemies. God help us. And so I close by telling you this. I love you. I love you.